Welcome back, everybody, to the Willow Wanders YouTube channel. Today I've got a video for you about being a minimalist when it comes to packing art supplies for a trip. So I just got back late last night from a trip to Cancun, which to my surprise was a lot nicer than I ever imagined it was going to be. I had been there before, but I had not been to the type of resort, let's just say, as the one I went to. I stayed at a hotel called the Kempinski, and it was so relaxing that I actually now understand why people love Cancun. And the water was ridiculously gorgeous. I just need to show you what this water looked like so you understand why I got so inspired. So anyway, I had a wonderful time. I was only actually in Cancun for 4 nights, 3 full days, and I managed to have a lot of time to relax with my art supplies. And it didn't take anything away from the experience to be sort of trying to make art while I was there. In fact, it just added to the experience. So if you hear some noise in the background, just so you know, we are currently in the process of renovating our entire attic space, which is right above where I film. And yeah, there's just going to be noise for the next 4 months during filming sometimes, unless I can film on the weekend. So anyway, these are the pages from my Willa journal that I painted while I was in Cancun. And again, the reason I'm making this video today is because I want to talk about the minimum amount of art supplies that I could bring on vacation and still feel like I've had a full artistic experience as well. Because for me, when I go away on vacation, even though I make art every day at home, it's going away on vacation is not an opportunity for me to take a break from making art. If anything, it's more like an opportunity for me to actually make more art than I would normally make when I'm at home. Because to me, this is what I love to do. This is what relaxes me. Why would I not take it on vacation? So a little bit of background on me and my vacation art is, in the past, I have taken way too much stuff with me on vacation, like ridiculous amounts of art supplies. And when I went this time, since I knew I was only going to be there for 3 full days, I said, Wendy, you've got to keep it at a minimum. You cannot go crazy with these art supplies. So here, I'm just going to go through what I brought with me, and maybe this will help you when you're planning for your next trip. So item number 1 is a bag. So this is a travel bag that I always use whenever I go anywhere, even locally. If I'm going to go paint at a cafe, I have my bag that has my art supplies in it. It's a nice big bag, lots of room. I can stick other stuff in it too. If I've got a sweater, if I've got a travel pillow, it all goes in there. But the nice thing about this is it's very easy for me to take this wherever I go. If I'm sitting out in a cabana by the beach, I can bring my whole bag with me, and I've got my art supplies in it, and it's just very easy. So you've got to have some type of backpack or bag that you like, that makes you happy. This one happens to just make me happy, and that's why I take this one, but there's nothing special about it. It's just a big sack. Okay, so you've got to have some type of way of carrying everything. And then as far as what I brought with me, everything is literally contained right here. I did not go crazy. I kept it minimal. Okay, next most important item, something to journal in. I mean, unless you're bringing like watercolor paper on a pad or some other kind of way to make art, watercolor is the lightest, easiest medium to work with when you're on the road. The only thing that would be lighter than this is if you're just working with pencil or you're just working with pen in a journal. But since I like color, I brought a watercolor journal with me. So these are the journals that I make myself. I get questions about this all the time. I call these journals my Willa journals. I have a whole course on how to make Willa journals. And these books that I do my watercolor for relaxation painting in, these journals are made by me by hand with paper that I choose and that I alter so that this paper is good for watercoloring. So I just brought one journal with me and I prepared a lot of pages in the journal so that it was ready for me to put down watercolor paint. So while I was traveling around, like in the airport, at the beach, I was able to add pen work to my watercolors, and I am madly, madly, madly in love with this. So I never finished this one. I'll finish it at home. And yeah, okay, so you've got to have some type of journal. It could be a store-bought journal. It could be one that you make yourself or something, but you need something to make art in. You need paper, okay, obviously. Then if you're me and you like watercolor, you're going to say, all right, what am I going to bring with you? So I recommend being really minimal about this. Don't feel like you have to have every color with you at all. Just bring a minimum amount. This set is made by Yasutomo, and actually the colors themselves were chosen by Karen Elaine Parsons, and she designed this set to be a set where it's like a perfect mixing set where you can mix up anything you want and get beautiful results just from what is in this 12 color set. So I'm not going to swatch out this set. I was not pre-thinking this, okay? When I went on vacation, I wasn't thinking, oh my gosh, the water there is going to be extraordinary. You're just going to want to paint the feeling of the water. I did not know that going in. I had no idea what I would be painting. But I'm very, very, very happy to say that with just this set, I didn't even use any colors from this side of the set. I only used the blues, the greens, and I think this might be a black. I'm not sure, but I loved using it. I just used the colors from this side of the set, and I was able to achieve absolutely stunning results with just those colors. So you don't need a ton of colors if you know how to mix color. And oh my gosh, did I have fun mixing color. So this is the Niji set by Yasutomo, and it was perfect for travel. And if I travel again, which I hope to, I'm gonna stick by this Niji set because it's fabulous. And it isn't precious. It's actually pretty inexpensive. So if something happened to it, I wouldn't be sad. I don't want to bring a bunch of really expensive things with me that if something happens, you know, I would be like super devastated and I'd be out a lot of money. I mean, this is probably the most valuable thing that I bring is my journal, but these paints, again, very economical, really phenomenal paints, and just minimal, you know, keep it minimal. Okay, this item was a surprise. So I have a smaller watercolor compactable rubber cup and I could not find it. I couldn't find it anywhere. I don't know what I did with it, but it's my tried and true cup. But luckily, very recently, I was gifted this travel watercolor, or not just travel paint water cup. It doesn't have to be watercolor. It could be any kind of paint cup. So this one's a little bit bigger than I needed because I don't actually need a ton of water while I paint. You could use a plastic cup, although I think that's always very dangerous, like just a disposable cup. Like you don't even have to bring a cup with you when you travel, but I do think that's kind of dangerous because you can easily knock over something that's plastic. So the nice thing about this is it's really steady on its feet, and it even has this clippy thing where if you wanted to attach it to like a backpack or something, you could just attach it to a backpack. So that's really nice. So this worked out really, really, really well. And it was gifted to me, like I don't know if I mentioned this, but by the Silver Brush Company. It's Silver Essentials, 2 water bowls in a zippered case, folds flat, non-slip base, lightweight. Anyway, it worked out beautifully. I'm going to keep this forevermore in my travel kit because it works and it's great. You can see now it's well loved. It's stained. I don't care. Very easy, very lightweight, very sturdy, non-skid. I think that's really a benefit. There's probably other things like that on the market, but if you can get a hold of this one, I highly recommend it. Okay, so we've gone over a journal of some kind, watercolor paint of some kind, something to hold water while you paint, And the final thing is I have a roll, like an art roll. I don't know what you call these things. This is a travel kit of mark making tools and erasers and things like that. I have a little dropper, which I never ended up using, but I do have that in here. So I packed a lot of stuff in here. I didn't even end up using a lot of it. I thought I was going to be spending more time drawing faces because here, I'll show you. I'm very into drawing faces at the moment, and we worked through drawing faces in fodder school. And yeah, I thought I was going to be spending a lot of time drawing faces. And then again, I got there and I was so inspired by the magical water that I spent the entire time just painting that feeling of the water. But so you'll see there's a lot of pencils in here, which I never ended up using. There's a blending stump, never ended up using it. Just here's what I did end up using. I did end up using a pencil because I do start out a lot of drawings by marking off areas that I don't want to paint over. So I did use pencil. Oftentimes I'm blocking off the perimeter of a painting. So a pencil is a really good idea. An eraser is a really good idea. And then I ended up only using one paintbrush. So I love these fusion brushes by Yasutomo. I only used my number 4. I brought the entire set. So I brought the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So these are very economical. I think for under $25, you get 5 really, really, really good watercolor paintbrushes. And I only ended up using number 4. I probably could have used number 3, but why bother when you can just use a number 4? I did not end up using my flat brush. Yasutomo also has the same brushes in flat. I brought that with me thinking maybe I'll use it, but I'm not really a flat brush painter. I'm more of a round brush painter. And let's see, the other thing that I really used a lot was my pens. So everybody always wants to know which pens are my favorite. And I would say this is my favorite black pen, the Uniball Air Micro. And I think it comes in 2 sizes. This is the UBA 188M Micro from Uniball. And this is a great pen. It goes on, and while it's wet, it is water soluble, but once it dries, it's permanent. My favorite white pen is the Uniball Signo UM153. So again, by Uniball. So I do a lot of mark making after I do watercoloring, especially when I want to relax. So let me just show you what I mean. So it's really fun to do the watercolor. I love that. But the added benefit is when you're going in with your marks. That is where you have endless repetitive mark making, and that is really calming to the nervous system. So the combination of watercolor painting being very relaxing and mark making being very relaxing, it's kind of like the added, mark making is like the added like punch that just puts it over the top as far as relaxing goes. So there's another pen that I've started using. This is the Pilot High Tech 05. And the reason I like this is because it even gives a finer line than the Uniball Air Micro. So a lot of people work with artist pens like Pitt pens, and what's the other brand? There's like a really popular brand, but I press kind of hard, and so those nibs wear out, those artist pen nibs wear out for me. So I stick with pens that have a more sturdy nib. Like this one, the Pilot High Tech 05 has a metal nib, and this Uniball Air has some other kind of hard plastic nib. They don't wear out as I work with them. Same for the Uniball Signo, the white, it's got a metal nib. And the last mark making tools that I brought with me are, I brought a variety of Sakura Jelly Roll pens. I have a lot of these in a lot of different colors. And I brought my pinks and greens and a couple grays and things. I ended up, I did not know I was just going to paint the feeling of the ocean. So I ended up not using any of the pinks, and I only used the blue-green colors. I didn't even use these over here. So this is really the only thing that I would say, you know, I didn't need to bring as many of these, but I had no idea what I was going to paint when I was down there. I thought I was going to paint more florals, and I ended up again painting what you saw. So, okay, so I brought a little bit of extra stuff, but not bad. And the other thing I do is I bring extra pens. You just don't know when a pen is going to run out of ink, and I didn't want to be caught without a key pen. So I did bring duplicates of that. I guess the final thing is this amazing paintbrush roll, or whatever you call it. I got this one very inexpensively on Amazon many, many years ago. There's a lot of Etsy makers who make these. You can get really beautiful ones. It holds a ton of stuff. Again, this was very inexpensive. If I can find the link for it, I'll put it in the description, which is below the video if you don't know where the description is. But I would say if you do travel with art supplies, this is an essential thing. It doesn't have to be the one I have. If you're really crafty, you can make one yourself. You can find even more gorgeous ones on Etsy. But yeah, this is kind of an essential travel item. So there you have it. That is now what I'm going to bring with me forevermore. I mean, I'm making this video as much for myself as I am for you, and I want to rewatch this in the future before I travel so that I remember that less is more, that I don't need a lot of stuff when I travel. I'm actually very surprised at what I was able to create with a very minimal amount of art supplies. And I'm just going to go through this again with you. I was on a 3-day trip. I did not spend the whole time making art, that's for sure. But I did have a lot of quality time with my supplies while I was relaxing. Oh, this is upside down. Okay. And so I was able to spend just really good time with my journal and those colors, and very, very, very simple. There's nothing complicated. There's nothing stressful about painting like this and making marks like this. Once you know the basics of how to do it, it's just very, very transportable. You could pick it up at any time. It doesn't make a big mess. The supplies are very light. You can really do it anywhere. You can do it in your dining room. You can do it in your kitchen. If you have an art space in your home, it's very easy art, but it packs a really big punch from a nervous system relaxation standpoint. And also from oh wow, like I made that. That looks really cool. I love that. Like that's part of, having the satisfaction of making art, is liking what you make. And for me, this has a very high like what I make value. So, okay, there you have it. My recommendations for a travel art kit. Hope you guys like this video. See you again next week.